Alright, Shalom, Shalom. It's your brother Issachar coming back at you for another lesson. First and foremost, I give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go into the whole breakdown of Revelation, the 18th chapter. Alright, so in this chapter right here, it goes into the downfall of Babylon, America. Okay, the Lord tells us through John the Revelator that he's going to destroy America in 60 minutes, 1 hour. All right, so there's three scriptures in this chapter that say that the Lord's going to destroy Babylon in 1 hour. All right, so this is a very heavy prophecy, very heavy. So remember, this is why these clowns out there, remember, that one clown out there, he said that the rapture was gonna happen and people were selling their houses and stuff. Remember that, okay? Remember, it's, this is why we teach prophecy, because, and that's in St. Matthew. Remember, when somebody says, hey, the Lord's over there, something's gonna happen. Remember, everything must be fulfilled. Okay, everything must be fulfilled. All right, this is also in St. Matthew. Okay, all prophecy must be fulfilled. All right, Revelation chapter 18, verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Verse 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every clean and hateful bird. Okay, so let's break this down. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, America, the Great, because, America's, great, corporation, country, whatever you want to call it, all right? Babylon, the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils. Okay, so what's that? All right, so not only is America going to be destroyed, okay, it's going to fall, right? So in this third World War, okay, World War III, America loses. Okay, America loses. And it's become the habitation of devils. All right, so devils. This is talking about desert creatures like lizards, iguanas, snakes. You got foul birds out here. That you're gonna have vultures out here. What else? Maybe like crows, maybe owls. And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. See that? So all like vultures, stuff like that, is going to dwell here. Okay? Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. See that? Okay, so for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So this is why the nations are upset. Okay, This is why nations are upset, because America always, anything that America does, it influences the rest of the world. Okay, it impacts, it influences the rest of the world. All nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of the fornication. Okay, so doctrines, way of life. Okay, this is why you have Iranian women coming out here to America, because they want to be a whore and stuff, because they want to be like America. See? All right. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right, because America has a lot of things. It has a lot of things here. Look at the military. Okay, they may be in debt, but they go and give aid different places here and there, because they have money to a certain point. It's fake FRNs, but it's there. Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Okay, so right here, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. So when Yahushua arrives, at the same time when America is being destroyed, simultaneously, okay, when the elect, St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 and 31, okay, when the elect are getting beamed up, the ICBMs are going to be shot off. Okay, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. But not all Israel, the elect, okay, are going to get beamed up, out of America, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Okay, so that is a major plague, is the ICBMs. Okay, it's a major plague. Let me get that precept in Zechariah 14 and verse, Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. See that? And Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. All right. Here we go. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right. So, how many of you guys ever seen that Terminator 2 movie? With Arnold Schwarzenegger. They had he was a Terminator. Then you had Sarah Connor, John Connor. Remember that scene when she's on the fence? For those of you that have seen it, you can just YouTube it. Just put Sarah Connor, Terminator 2, okay? Because she's on that fence, right? But people's bones are going to be eviscerated too, evaporated, turned to dust. All right. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right. So that's the precept on that. So that is a plague. All right. So not only is it prophecy and all throughout the scriptures, but it's also telling us that that it's a plague. Okay, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is telling us through these scriptures that not only is it the ICBMs, okay, going his army, but it's a plague. See? And let me read it one more time. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. All right, so that's going to be literal. Okay, the elect are going to get beamed up into the chariots of Israel, which are known in this world as so-called UFOs, so-called UAPs. See, spaceships, if you will. That ye be not takers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So, something I want to point out here, it's not just one plague, you know, like the Lord, all right, He's gonna just, you know, bring the ICBM fire, you know, the nuclear fire through those ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. No, it's plagues with an S. All right, so whenever you see S at the end of a word, it makes it plural, meaning what? That there's more than one, because we're entering the worst time that the earth has ever experienced. All right, and the Lord has a bone to pick with America. All right, because this place is completely against the Lord. You know, blasphemes, is proud against the Lord. All right, you know, right here in America, how did they get this land? Through rape, robbery, murder. Okay, but also America has all 12 tribes in slavery at the same time. See that? So America is finished because they touched the apple of the Lord's eye. All right, verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double. Okay, and double unto her double according to her works. Right. So right here. Okay, so this is clear to establish the point out there, because there's a lot of mess going on out there. You know, conversations, you know, debates, if you will, saying that Americans don't have to pay, these Edomites don't have to pay for what they did. All right, the British, they had, you know, a little conference, a little talk. They said that, you know, that they're past it, you know, and America has to pay for everything that it's done. You know, the Lord sees everything. All right, so verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you. See that? So what has this place, America, rewarded us Israelites? Okay, nothing but hatred, you know. We're looked down on. You know, people don't like us just because of our skin color. You know, there's a lot going on here. You know, with an Israelite man, okay, has to endure a lot. You're a target, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. Okay, so right here. So everything that America has done, she has to pay for it. All right, verse 7. How much she had glorified herself. See that? I'll stop right there. Okay, right here. So the Lord is not telling us that, you know what, kind of like Cain's sacrifice. All right, you know, he did a sacrifice, but it wasn't accepted. You know, so the Lord's not saying that America is trying, you know, and you know, there's, you know, the Lord just, you know, the Lord, you know, said, nah, the hell with them. You know, they're not making the cut. See, I'm not happy with them. No, they're not trying at all. Okay, how much, verse 7, how much she had glorified herself. Because right here, it's put America first. All right, it's all about money here, idolatry. It's all about, you know, yourself, fast food, fast women. You know, it's places, you know, it's out of control. You know, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she said in her heart and her mind. Okay, the leaders here. I sit a queen, and that's bugged out. Okay, because a queen is a whore. Okay, so that's bugged out right there. Okay, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Yeah, because that's what America thinks. They think, oh, you know what? We're never. They think, oh, you know, these Americans, Babylonians, talk amongst each other. These leaders saying, oh, you know, we're never gonna go down. You know, that's what they think. You know, they think that they're gonna rule forever. See, verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. One day. Okay, so when it comes, it's gonna be major. All right. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. Death, the snuff. Mourning, famine, so no food, no water. Famine also, lack of a means of transportation, you know, information. The phones are going to be cut off. The internet's going to be cut off. Famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. Talking about America. See, so when people say, let's pray for America, you're going against the Lord's will. All right, you're tempting the Lord. See that? So people who say, let's pray for America, you err not knowing the scriptures. All right, because all throughout the scriptures, Jeremiah, Isaiah, okay, it all says clearly that America is going to be destroyed. Okay, that America is going to be destroyed. All right, so and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord, power Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, who judged her. See that? So she's about to get, you know, America's about to pay for her tab. In other words, verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication. So stop right there. Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. And the kings, so kings, so rulers, you know, of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, because behind the scenes, you know, all these heathens, you know, they're all giving, you know, like the Arabs, Ishmael, they're buying what? Trump, an Edomite, a private jet and stuff. You know, they're all doing things behind the scenes. You know, going to parties and stuff. They're doing all kinds of stuff, you know, behind the scenes. Shall beware her and lament for her. So lament means to cry out. When they see the smoke of her burning. So yeah, these other nations are going to be crying out for America when they see America completely destroyed. All right, because remember, America is going to be destroyed in 1 hour from the west coast to the east coast, all 5,000 square miles from sea to shining sea. You know, all 10 FEMA regions. All right, you know, so why are these nations going to be crying for America? You know, why they're going to be crying out? Because they're not going to be able to make money here. All right, you know, the heathens, these other nations. If you look around, you know, these neighborhoods, Jake's neighborhoods. All right, these swap meets, these 7-Elevens, all these stores are owned by the heathen, Elam, Esau. Okay, so they're not going to be crying because they love and respect America. It's because they're not going to be able to make any money off America anymore. See? Standing afar, because like Apostle Tahar said, you know, the American people are the stupidest people on the planet Earth. You know, I guess out there, you know, out there, and what I heard, you know, what when these other countries out there, you know, in the East, when they see like TikTok and stuff like that, you know, they use it for, you know, like things that are beneficial, you know. And right here in America, it's all for folly. You know, it's all for folly. You know, what's that? OnlyFans and stuff like that. You know, I'm not too good with this stuff, but you know, it's all used for folly. You know, the average American out here is completely worthless. You know, they have no idea what's going on, who they are. They just, you know, go. They're just whatever they're told, they do it. You know. Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment. Because imagine, we're not talking just New York. We're not talking just Chicago. The whole United States. All 5,000 square miles. 10 FEMA regions. All 10, okay? Standing afar off for the fear of her torment. Saying, at last, that great city Babylon, America, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So this is the first time right here that it's, you know, Revelation chapter 18 tells us. Okay, so this is the first time. Revelation 18:10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city Babylon, America, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment comes. And that's a literal 60 minutes. All right, that's a literal 60 minutes. All right, not like Revelation 3:10. You know, our temptation, that's a season, a time. You know, it's going to be a short time, maybe a few months, but we don't got too much longer here, because you can already see, you know, how Trump wanted to completely nuke Iran already, you know, but they had to stop him and all that. You know, North Korea is constantly going, you know, testing them. Russia, but Putin is personally overseeing the ICBMs. You know, it's all right here, okay? That everything's going digital. You got the 15-minute series going on. All right, you know, it's everything's going to that, you know, universal, towards that universal basic income, that digital currency. All right, which is the RFID microchip. So this is why in Revelation chapter 13 verse 17 says that no man shall buy or sell. Okay, say he that had the mark. So why aren't people going to be able to sell and buy? You know, buy groceries, you know, take a taxi, whatever, right? Why aren't people going to be able to buy or sell unless they have that mark? Because the RFID microchip, which is the MOTV, okay, it's also the new digital, it's going to be the new digital currency, because the FRNs are going to collapse. Okay, America's not going to go in like a recession, it's going to be a complete collapse. The American dollar bill, the FRN is going to completely be destroyed. All right, you know, however these devils do it, okay, however these devils do it, you know, it's going to be completely done. You see? All right, so let's carry on. Verse 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thy wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. Verse 13. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beast and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Verse 14. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Because it's going to be completely through out here. Alright? Verse 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Verse 16. Listen up. Saying, at last, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Here we go, listen up. This is the second time. Verse 17. For in 1 hour, 60 minutes, Akim Aqua. For those of you that are just coming into the faith, Akim means brothers, Aqua means sisters. Alright, shalom to the brothers and sisters out there who are, you know, in the household of faith. Verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. 60 minutes, so that's the second time. Right there. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. Verse 18. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Verse 19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, at last, for that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. So here's the third time. Listen up. So this is the third time. For in 1 hour, 60 minutes, is she made desolate. So that's all that America got, you know. Trump and them, they could ramble, okay, say all this and that, you know, that they're, you know, that all they do is win, and, you know, hey, these Edomites are running out of time, okay. The only reason why the man Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has, you know, Trump doing what he's doing at at that rate, it's because prophecy has to fulfill. Okay, prophecy has to fulfill. All right, so verse 20: Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. One more time, okay? So this is a scripture right here that ISUBK, these other congregations out there that are taking guns to camp and stuff like that. Look, Revelation 18:20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles. Separate, okay? Holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High Yahweh hath avenged, okay? For the Most High Yahweh hath avenged you on her, because we got no power here. This is why the Lord says, fear not thy worm, Jacob, and you men of Israel, for I will help thee. All right, so this is the Lord's gonna avenge us. Remember, vengeance is of the Lord. Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. Okay, what did Yahushai say? If this was my kingdom, my servants would fight. Okay, remember, this is Satan's kingdom. All right, but everything serves its purpose. Okay, all right, so this is the wicked's kingdom right now. But remember, it's education. Okay, because we're not going to captivity again. So this is a beautiful education, a lesson. Because we're learning what it is to be wicked. We're seeing what the world is like underneath a wicked rulership, a wicked establishment. All right, if you just take a look around the world, that's it. Okay, these dudes spraying chemtrails, but they still want you to get a smog check on your car, right? And you get one, but they're spraying chemtrails. These astronauts are still lying, saying that they went to the moon. But that's why Isaiah 33:6, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. Remember that, okay? Remember that, because you have to just look at these Edomites, and just smile. Just you don't gotta get all worked up about it, because the Lord said that they're liars, they're deceivers. Okay, devils means a deceiver. Okay, so they trick you into believing a lie. All right, haven't they lied to the whole world? Okay, so all right, verse 21. Verse 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So, one more time. Revelation 18:21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon, America, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. See, so what violence? Because these Edomites, didn't they take down our brothers and sisters of the tribe of Gad, tribe of Issachar, tribe of Reuben, Zebulon, Naphtali? Didn't they took us down violently? They hung us, fed our babies to alligators. The Southern Kingdom, they brought us over here in cargo slave ships, 1619. See, it's a very real thing, So shall be found no more at all. So it's going to be completely destroyed. Okay? Verse 22. And the voice of harpers. Verse 22. And the voice of harpers and musicians, and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of a bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries, listen up, were all nations deceived, tricked. Okay, because that's how America gets down. All right, they come up to you with smiles, right? But they take your resources. If you're not willing to play ball with them, they send in economic hitmen, CIA, stuff like that. You guys know what it is out there. All right, it's very real, and that's how these Edomites have been getting down this whole time. Okay, through rape, robbery, murder. Like Venezuela, that's not their oil, but they're gonna take it and say, oh, but they're gonna sell it. That's not their oil. So sorceries, because they're not, once again, very important, quick and right to the point. They're not people that follow Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, they are not people that follow the Lord. They are witches and warlocks on the real. All right, so you real fast, how you hear that P. Diddy, Jay-Z, these celebrities who bow down to Baphomet, right? Remember Jay-Z had that black shirt that said, "Do as thou wilt." Hey, that's from Aleister Crowley. All right, Aleister Crowley is a bug out. He grapes children. He passed away, but he used to, grape children and do all kinds of stuff. You see, and this is what this society looks up to. Do whatever makes you feel happy. That's retarded. Verse 24. Verse 24, and in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints. That's us. Okay, the prophets and the saints. The saints are the Israelites. So the saints, people in this world, they got the wrong idea, the wrong perception that when someone is Like, let's say someone never gets in trouble, or something like that. They're just like a good person to this world, because no one's good but the Father, Yahweh. See, and Yahweh Shai, all right, because he's perfected. He's in his he overcame. All right, so this is what you got to understand. All right, so when people see someone who just doesn't really like cause trouble, they say, oh, that person's a saint. No. Okay, saint means Israelite. Okay, the Moabites, the so-called Chinese, Ammon, the so-called Japanese, Elam, the so-called East Indian, Ishmael, the so-called Arabs. Okay, Arab means mix. All right, the Edomites, the so-called white man. Okay, they cannot be saints. Doesn't matter if they don't get in any trouble. It's the saints are the Israelites. That's that. And all that were slain upon the earth. See that? So there's Esau, the bill is due. You got a lot to pay for it. A whole lot. And Yahweh Bashim Shai hasn't forgot about nothing. Everything has been recorded, and Yahweh Bashim Shai and the angels have been watching everything this whole time. Okay, so let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 3. The eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. All right, so the Lord sees everything. There's no hiding from the Lord. Okay, the Lord sees everything. Okay, so we're going to end it right here. Revelation chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So, who has all the 12 tribes in slavery right now? Okay, the Edomites. Right here in America. So right there. That's quick and to the point. Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So the people who put us in captivity, they're going to go into captivity. In other words, okay? He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. There it is. Okay, and who has been ruling this earth by guns, the sword, so-called white man. Okay, when Christopher Columbus, Christopher Colon, aka Christopher Columbus, came over here in San Salvador, 1492, the month of October. All right, that's where he landed first, and then they made their, that's when they started, raping, robbing, stuff like that, So, he that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Jeremiah, I believe it's the 51st chapter. It's the 50th or 51st chapter that says, they're the hammer of the whole earth. Because why does America go around doing what they want? Because they have the strongest military, the biggest guns, right? Alright, so that's something that That's something that America has, that hedge, because if someone says, oh, well, you know what, we're not down with that, or we don't agree with that, America has the bigger guns, you know, so whoever has the biggest guns has the last say, right? Okay, so that's what America's been doing, you know, and you can see what Trump, how he's acting. He's like, forget NATO, forget everybody, you know. Something that that's why he's the perfect man in office. Like Apostle Tahar said, all right, he's doing a good job, okay, because he is in there stirring it up. Okay, he's stirring it up. He's doing the Lord's will, but on the left-hand side. Yep, and he is doing a good job. He's not wasting any time. You see? And look at how clumsy Donald Trump is. All right. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Because patience goes into, because we gotta suffer, you gotta wait. All right, this ain't just, well, let me get it right now. No, you gotta wait. Okay. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints, because you gotta have faith. So with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. All right, stay locked in. When you have your battles against, these demons, evil spirits, just call on the Lord. Remember that, call on the Lord and lean on the Lord. Remember, the Lord hears us. The Lord is the one who puts us through our situations. So if the Lord, the Lord controls everything. But the thing is, are you going to trust in Him? Okay, are you going to curse the Lord out? If you have a bad day, or you got to go through a heavy test, or if you lose your job, your family, are you gonna be like Lot's wife? See? So this is something that you got to really have inside you, because remember, you have to establish your faith. You got to establish your faith right now. It's very important. It's very important, because when these times approach, ain't no more just conversating with your loved one, or however, it's game time. Daniel in the lion's den. All right, did he bug out? Did he go another way? No, he went into prayer right away. See, he wasn't, he wasn't he wasn't all, trying to run from it, whatever it was. All right, so this is something that you got to really understand. All right, because you have to go to that straight gate, the straight and narrow. You have to show the Lord, but also you have to believe that He's there and will help you. Okay, you got to you have to put your trust in the Lord. Remember, it's not just yeah I believe. You got to really have faith in this thing, because it's gonna get very real out here, very real. Imagine no food, tanks on the streets, robots. Okay, just all out war out there. See, but the hopeful elect is gonna have food, water, shelter. The Lord's gonna provide a way. Remember how the Lord took care of us for 40 years in the wilderness. All right, remember, we didn't have no laundry mats. We didn't have no like, you know, rest spots, you know, where to stop, where it's you have like showers and stuff, you know. Imagine that. Okay, but the Lord sustained us. So you have to really be ready to go without. That's it right there. Okay, you must be ready to go without. Remember, Moses didn't even know that Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, was going to split the Red Sea, which is the Gulf of Suez. Okay, so at the top of the Red Sea, it splits to the right and to the left. So right there, to the left is the Gulf of Suez, right there. Okay. All right. So right there is the Gulf of Suez, where it splits off to the top left. That's like the actual location, you know, pin drop, so to speak. You know, right there. It's called the Gulf of Suez. It's still connected to the Red Sea, but it's called, the actual location is the Gulf of Suez, where we crossed. Right there. So with that, on your feet, soldier. Until next time, Shalom.